you might not believe it, but I'm actually sat at my 18-month-old daughter's activity table recording this because one of the reasons that we first moved to this apartment that you can see behind you is because it had this wonderful open plan space that I'm now sat in. And we used to work in here. So behind us where our dining table is now, that used to be our office. And we had a couple of desks sat up there. We had a nice view out onto the park from the balcony. But then when Arwen came along, we made this big open plan space into her space. So this is her playroom, it's her school room, it's where Lisa and Arwen spend most of their day. But it meant that I got relegated to the box room. So now and again, when Lisa and Arwen go out to one of their groups or I think their music class today, I will come out and work in the open plan space. But the only desk in here is Arwen's activity table. So I'm sat with my laptop working there at the moment. And I thought it was worthwhile just having a quick update because it's been a full week since the in-person incubator ended. And I've had... I don't like to call it a week off because it hasn't been a week off, but I've just had kind of a week away from the incubator, partially just to absorb everything that we went through and that we learned from the incubator, and partly because the next step is now to bring everything together in a plan. Now, I haven't just completely had a week off. I've been having some long conversations and backwards and forwards with the mentors on the incubator, especially Shay Green. He's been very helpful and useful to planning out what we're going to do next with Vegan Business Tribe. But I've just got off a Zoom call as well with the co-founder of ProVeg, Sebastian, just to kind of look at the business model that we're pulling together now for Vegan Business Tribe. So I thought I'd like to just go through and share some of that with you, because one of the big conversations that we're having about Vegan Business Tribe is how do we fund it? Because Vegan Business Tribe is currently a for-profit organisation and it is funded through our memberships. We've got a couple of sponsors, but it doesn't really become financially stable and able to stand on its own 2 feet without myself and Lisa putting extra money into it until it gets up to about 400 or 500 members. And we're about 180, 200 members at the moment, which is great. But it needs to grow that extra step. And as part of that, I've always thought that I need to bring in a team to do that, either employed or freelancers, just to help us promote it better, do our social a lot better, just people who've got the time to actually go out there and raise our visibility. I know how to do it, I've got a plan to do it, but I haven't got the hours to do it. And so, that's kind of one of the reasons that we came to join the incubator, was to look at different kind of funding options for what we do as well. And kind of having that conversation, it's become very apparent that if you want to go out and get funding for either a not-for-profit or a for-profit organisation, it's all about impact. And I had these conversations right early on in the first video diaries about actually being able to record your impact as an organisation. But when you're in the vegan or the animal rights movement, the people who have the money to back that movement, they're wanting to be really efficient with where they put that money. So historically, that's always meant going to food companies, because if your goal is to remove animals from the food production chain, then it makes sense to go to those who are doing that the quickest. So the people who are actually making different sort of foods that don't need animals in that food production. So that's why so much of the money has gone into the vegan and the plant-based food companies. And that kind of makes sense. And so there is becoming that little bit of an understanding for Vegan Business Tribe that if we are wanting to attract a number of funders to support what we do, then we need to embrace the food companies more. Because when you look at Vegan Business Tribe at the moment, maybe something like 20%, maybe even less, have got anything to do with food and drink who come and join us at Vegan Business Tribe. So that's something maybe that we need to actually formally address and get a lot better at supporting those companies, because we've got some great information. I've interviewed some of the biggest vegan food founders in the world. We've got lots of friends in the UK who have set up very successful businesses like One Planet Pizza and Better Nature Tempeh that you can buy in the supermarkets across the country. And they've done sessions with us talking about how they scaled up. So we've definitely got the knowledge there to help those sort of companies, but we just haven't focused on it. And it led me to think about the whole vegan business ecosystem. So let me just show you this. So one thing that I've been thinking about is is when you look at the ecosystem of vegan businesses, and you'll have to zoom in to see that. But at the middle here, we've got the food companies. And they're the people kind of around which everything else circulates. Because when you move out of that ecosystem, you then move from the people making the food to the people then serving and delivering the food to the public. So you've got the restaurants, the food trucks, the caterers, the cafes. And then you move to the next tier of this ecosystem. And you've got all the vegan business support services. And these are the people, who have been, massively attracted to us at Vegan Business Tribe. You've got the creative services like the web designers, the copywriters. You've got business advisors, but we've got several at Vegan Business Tribe, the people running events, the people doing marketing and PR, the professional services, so, the vegan accountants, the financial advisors, insurance. So you've got kind of this whole ecosystem around that food sector. And if we have more of those food brands within Vegan Business Tribe, then that gives those support services more people to work with. They can go work with the food brands, because the food brands tend to be the bigger businesses in our sector. And then around that, when you move out again, you've got what I've called the vegan business advocates. And that might be people like the vegan musicians or the filmmakers and the nutritionists, or maybe people doing personal services, some of the social media influencers, the travel agents, the authors, fitness and health sanctuaries, things like that. And these are the people who, they're very important, but they're converting people one by one. And that is important to the person they've converted. For me, I was brought to veganism by one single person who really educated me on veganism. So it's such an important thing. But when you're looking at funding, the people who have got the money to put in to organisations like Vegan Business Tribe, they're wanting that larger impact. They're wanting to really focus on the companies who are influencing tens, hundreds of thousands of people, and that's usually the food companies. But if we create an ecosystem around those food companies, that means for any funding that we brought in to support the food manufacturers, it would just benefit this whole ecosystem that we've built up around it. So that's something that I've been just working on this week, even though I've supposed to have taken a week off. That's one thing I've been working on. And next, just coming back to the conversation that I've just had now with Sebastian, who is the person who's launched the Kickstarting For Good incubator that we're going through. He's really been working on me on mindset. And we know that when you have a business, your mindset is the most important thing. Just how you approach that business, how you organise yourself within that business. And one problem I've always had is I struggle to get out of my own way. So because I've got a really diverse skill set, and that comes from, always running my own businesses, and I ran a marketing and branding agency for several years. I've worked as a business consultant. I started off in multimedia and web design. And because I've got all these different sort of skill sets, I've even studied copywriting and things like that. I tend to do everything myself. And I tend to think that I've got to do everything myself to scale a business. And that's one of the problems that we've had at Vegan Business Tribe. So, Sebastian is really keen on the idea of us actually taking Vegan Business Tribe and facilitating it to grow itself. So what do we mean by that? Well, a number of Vegan Business Tribe members have approached me over the years saying, wouldn't it be great if we could do this? So for instance, the creatives in the group, the web designers, the branders, the web developers, the motion designers and the illustrators, they came to me a couple of years ago and said, we would like our own subgroup within Vegan Business Tribe. And my response to that was absolutely great. Let's get as many of these people together as we can. Let's get them on a Zoom call and let's talk about what support you'd actually want and what we'd need to do with a subgroup. And we got about 20 people on that call. And then we went through, what would you want? You'd want your own Slack group, perhaps. You'd want your own meetups. You'd want to go out and find experts in your area. Then we can record content, maybe from people who have grown successful vegan design businesses and things like that as well. And then I took all that information and I said, right, I now need to build this. That's always been the mistake that I've made. And we've done the same with the vegan professionals in the group. We've had our own vegan professionals meetups, with our accountants and lawyers and insurance people. We've done the same with therapists. Only a few months ago, we brought together about 20 vegan therapists and counsellors, got them all on a Zoom meeting, said, what do we want to do? But we never really came with that plan to move forwards. And that's because I was always the bottleneck. I always thought that I had to take this and build something myself for these members within it. What Sebastian has been very keen to do with us at Vegan Business Tribe is actually say, no, let's enable people within Vegan Business Tribe, so people who want to be sub-tribe leaders, and actually enable them to build their own thing within Vegan Business Tribe. And there's reasons why people would want to do that. So the first, it might be monetary. We simply pay them to do it. So it might be, say, if somebody joins one of these subgroups, one of these sub-tribes, it's going to cost more to be part of that tribe, and we just split that membership with you 50-50. So if you are building up, say, our professional services or our property professionals, Vegan Business Tribe subgroup, for people to be part of that, they have to pay an uplift to be part of that specific group, because they're going to get a lot more than being a regular member, and we're going to give that uplift to you. So we're going to share their membership with you. And then, for somebody to actually build that within Vegan Business Tribe, that becomes worthwhile, because every person they go out there and find to join their group, they're going to be getting part of that membership fee themselves. So they can have it as a little bit of a side income to what they're doing. The second reason that somebody might want to do this is it might just have synergy with their business. So you can imagine if somebody provides services, or maybe they are a business consultant, there would be value in that person building up a group from which their business has synergy. And I've spoken to this before. One of our members, he helps people launch podcasts, Jim Moore. And I've spoken to him before about actually bringing together a vegan podcasters group or a vegan content creators group. And for somebody like Jim, that would be really beneficial, because he helps people do that. So heading up that kind of group would really be, lots of different opportunities. And I think the third reason that somebody might be interested in being one of our sub-tribe leaders is just the visibility it brings. It's all about personal brand so often. When you are building a business, you need to be the authority in your sector. And if somebody is at the top of the tree, so if somebody is running that vegan business group for that sector, they're going to get a lot of visibility from that. And visibility, that always brings opportunities. So that's something to explore too. And so what are we going to do next? Well, this is the big question. Because I've now got a week, I've got one single week to bring together our final pitch deck for Vegan Business Tribe to get onto the second half of the incubator. And now this isn't something which I had kind of clear in my mind. I don't know if I just missed the information when we applied, but only 50%, or as little as 50%, of the people who are on the incubator get through to the second half. So that's going to be really interesting. And the focus now has to be making sure that I'm one of that 50%, because I think, as I said on my last video, I'd be gutted if I got this far and then didn't get through to the second half, because the second half is where we really need to now concentrate on nailing down the details. So things like the pricing model. What we're going to do with Vegan Business Tribe. Is it still going to be a standard membership fee for everybody? And then if you join one of these sub-tribe groups, that's going to be an uplift. Or do we do something where pretty much Vegan Business Tribe, the general information we put out is just completely for free? And then to join one of the subgroups, that's more of a premium. So instead of the kind of $20 a month that we charge at the moment, maybe it's going to be $50, $60 a month, because the information you're going to get from that and the support you're going to get from that, that's going to be a lot more niche to you. It's going to be a lot more relevant to you. It's going to be a lot more focused on your actual industry and the business you're trying to build. So that's a potential, business model as well. And there's lots of other ideas about how we could do this, how we could finance it, how we could fund it as well. So that's going to be really important to do as well. But one thing I've got to get comfortable with, and this is what Sebastian has just been saying to me, I've got to become the person at the top, not the person in the middle. And this has always been my problem, as I've just said, with Vegan Business Tribe. I am naturally a doer. I like to get in, I like to build things. And again, because of that diverse skill set, I always find myself doing more than I should be doing. Because I can build websites. I built all the Vegan Business Tribe systems. I built all the Vegan Business Tribe websites. Whereas I think maybe my time would have been better spent just actually bringing other people in to do that for me. So that's something I've got to get used to, is this idea that if we are going to grow Vegan Business Tribe, I've got to develop the other people within Vegan Business Tribe and help and mentor them to grow it, rather than trying to be hands-on and do everything myself. So that's been a really important learner. But we've also got to find these people. So this is kind of a call out to you now. If you think that you would like to build one of our sub-tribes within Vegan Business Tribe, then I want to talk to you, and I want to talk to you very quickly. Because there are obvious groups within Vegan Business Tribe that we should be building and allowing those groups to kind of flourish on their own, develop on their own, with developing the stuff that they really need support with. And so again, regulated professionals, that's something that we've talked about lots of times. Our creative services, that could easily be a subgroup. Property, we've got a number of Vegan Business Tribe members who are property developers or investors, and they want to build their own community as well. Who haven't I mentioned? Our therapists, our content providers, maybe our musicians. I think my gimbal just ran out of battery. So hang on, I'm going to leave that in. Yes, my little electronic gimbal just ran out of battery, so I'm going on to handheld now. I can actually just show you where I am, actually. So this is Arwen's play area with all her different toys, all her books, her little bookshelf and everything as well. So that's why I'm bringing you this from today. But as I was saying, I want to hear from you. So, if you do want to set up a subgroup within Vegan Business Tribe, and that might be your business sector, or it could be geographical location. We've played with the idea of having geographical Vegan Business Tribes. Amsterdam is an obvious place to do it, and we've got a couple of members there who would be very keen on making that happen. Maybe down in Brighton, maybe in London, maybe in Berlin. There are lots of vegan entrepreneurs in Berlin. Again, it'd make it an obvious place to build that kind of thing. So I can't do that. I'm not allowed to do that now. Sebastian said, I can't get involved. I can't be the one doing it all. I've got to find the people within the tribe and actually let them do it, facilitate them to do it. And even better, because we're going through a ProVeg incubator, we might have some access to funding to do that. So we might be able to get a little bit of a budget to set up one of these sub-brands, to put a little bit into marketing for it, into promoting it. Or we might be able to self-generate that money ourselves through crowdfunding, or maybe finding a couple of people who are in that sector and would like to put a bit of money into developing it. So, there's going to be lots of options there. So do get in touch. Okay, so 1 week until I need to have my pitch deck complete and sent in, and then the week after, I then have to present it live. Wish me luck.